when your kid is dying and you're called and they say, oh, he's not going to make it. You know, that's a long drive.
In my mind, I think we were prepared to say goodbye.
We got pregnant with twins, which was a very long journey in and of itself. We went through 5 years of infertility, 7 rounds of IVF, 4 miscarriages. This was going to be our final cycle and ended up pregnant with twins. It's very complicated even from the beginning with twin A, which was our son Austin. At 21 weeks and 5 days pregnant, my water broke. They told us we would most likely deliver in 72 hours and lose both the babies. We ended up staying there. He held on for 23 days. So we delivered the boys at 25 weeks. They were born at 1 pound 10 ounces, which was Austin. 1 pound 13 ounces was Garrett.
The particular problem that we were worried about with Austin is that when your water has been broken for a few weeks, the lungs can become very stiff, and they cannot open up as easily with our regular ventilators. And often they kind of pop holes in them and also develop little bubbles. We had tried all the ventilators that we had. We continued to have these problems of these kind of bubbly areas within his lungs, and we had approached the family, multiple times saying that we weren't sure that Austin was going to make it. Our current NICU has its challenges.
They have open pods. There's really a lack of privacy. We had a lot of very difficult, dark conversations, which oftentimes happened in sleep rooms or conference rooms or wherever we could find a space, but sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they happened at the bedside during rounds. There were days when we came in to say goodbye to our son and just, like falling to your knees in tears, and people are watching you.
I remember a night where I was reading him a book, and it was a challenging book to read and get through, and I remember sobbing and having to look around and just not feel like I'm in a private space.
Our current setup with the open bay system, we do not have the ability to keep parents at the bedside, allow them to stay overnight. We can makeshift it for a day or two, but for over a long period of time, that's just not possible. Babies require a lot of equipment, specialized equipment, which takes up space, and if you're an open bay, you're crowded in with the other infants. So there's not as much room for the family, for the caregivers, and everyone else to get there, and we oftentimes find ourselves shuttling around pieces of furniture to get closer to the baby.
It is unfortunately part of having an open bay style NICU is there's no way to shield any patient, any family from anything else that's going on in the unit. Even for the patients that are doing well, they hear everything that's going on around them.
We were told he wasn't going to make it through the night. We took turns at his bedside when it was Jeff's turn and just saying, if he starts to die, like call me, come wake me up, like make sure you come and get me. And I just remember just sitting there and crying and kind of having our hands on him and just sort of waiting, right? Just waiting. We just didn't want him to die alone. We had talked about wanting to transfer our son to Worcester. Not only did they have the jet ventilator there, they also had private rooms.
They ultimately said, well, the logistics to get him to Worcester, to even transport him an hour up the road, he wouldn't survive.
We really, came together as a leadership group to see if there was any possibility that we could bring this ventilator in.
These were in some really dark times. We ultimately had to say goodbye to Austin, and I'd say we came in one day and the jet was sitting there. Dr. Goliotto was there, and I'd say every respiratory therapist in the department was there, even on their off days. And for us, it was really a sign of hope. That was really a turning point for him.
When we turn that ventilator on for Austin, it's not like a miracle, like it works in 10 minutes, but we were seeing slow changes, and it really did, help to get him to a place that we could stabilize him.
Garrett had definitely a more typical NICU journey, so to speak.
Garrett had a PDA ligation. Austin had that as well at the same time. So we brought one child into the operating room and he had his surgery, and then we brought in the second child into the operating room as well. So it was really just back-to-back traumatic experiences.
Garrett ultimately spent 5 months in the NICU before he came home. 2 days after Garrett came home, Austin had his tracheotomy, and then they found a mass on his liver. He was diagnosed with stage 3 hepatoblastoma. He ends up, starting chemo, has liver resection surgery where they removed 70% of his liver. He finally came home in July of 2020 at 18 months old.
The neighborhood was just filled with cars. There were, 50 people that were here. Just, some were nurses that we worked with in Connecticut Children's, doctors, therapists. It was just an incredible just rallying of, hey, Austin's home with his family where he should be.
The experience in the new tower is going to be 100% different from what our families are feeling now. They're going to have a large room, a beautiful space, a space for themselves to relax and even sleep over if they choose to do that. They're going to still have the interaction of their own baby and their baby's monitor, but they're not going to be seeing what's happening in other rooms.
We already know that one of the key elements of baby's neurodevelopment is contact with their parents. If we can provide an environment that is encouraging for the family unit to stay intact, that's what is really the helpful component in all of this.
To future NICU families in the new tower, I think I would just say stay and hold your child and sleep next to them and read them stories and do everything you can to be with them as much as possible, because I think that makes a big difference. They know you're there even if they can't say that.
The boys today they're our world. There are toys galore, there's scratches on the floor from them driving their little machines around. There's skid marks in the backyard from their Power Wheels, and we just wouldn't have it any other way.
I just want them to be able to be strong and independent and live on their own and fall in love and all those kinds of things.
We're just so grateful to have the amazing little boys that we have today.